everybody. We actually just did the first half of the meeting on the new Realty One Group HomeSpotter app, but it didn't show up on the recording. So Rachel's going to do another one. So we're going to get 2 videos today. But the second half of this meeting, I wanted to show a video from a podcast I listened to about, it was a real estate agent, an economist, and somebody else that you'll see in just a second, talking about the state of the market. I will say it is the nation as a whole, not just Washington or Tacoma. So take it with a grain of salt, but it was some really good, interesting information. So I wanted to show this and then maybe show you guys some other stuff about how to find statistics. And the reason I'm doing this is because I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a lot more questions from buyers and sellers as the market is slowing a little bit. People are wondering if the sky is falling. Is the market dipping? Is it crashing? And it's hard not to just speculate and throw out your opinion. So my encouragement is to share things like what I'm about to show you guys, this link to this podcast, and I'll show you how to find some actual data on the MLS. So let's just jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen. And I'm going to move my screen over to the TV.
We can see it on the TV.
I think I'll just plug directly in so it's not lagged. Is that okay?
I mean, yeah, you can do whatever you want.
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to cut to this one. It's like a 5-minute section of this podcast. And I think everyone's going to find this really interesting. It's not showing up on the screen. There we go. Okay, cool.
I would love to just sort of get a pulse from the two of you and understand sort of what you see in the housing market. So if you could, Kathy, in 3 words or less, could you describe the housing market as it stands in September of 2021?
Low supply, high demand, and prices going up as a result. That wasn't 3 words. Oh, shoot, I failed.
It was 3 clauses. I think we'll allow it. That's still sufficient. And David, what do you think?
I would say rapidly, urgently changing.
That sounds very accurate. Okay. Well, so my 3, the one that I came into this recording thinking was insane, but slowing. And I want to just share with you guys a couple pieces of data, because when I look at the data, and I'm an investor, but I'm not out there as much as you two are. When I look at the data, I see that we have been on this insane ride for the last couple of months. But things are starting to just show like they're slowing down. Don't get me wrong, things are not going in reverse. And in the broadest sense, they're still going crazy. But when I look at the data, I'm seeing that things are starting to change, and I'd love to get your take on this. So just for example, over the last 4 weeks, Redfin just reported that housing prices are up 16% year over year. And in a normal year, that would actually be crazy. That would be the only thing we were talking about. But we know this is not a normal year because just in July, it was actually 22% year over year. So it's actually starting to come down a little bit. And don't get me wrong, things are nuts. We still have 49% of homes going under contract with under 2 weeks, and 52% of homes are selling for above the asking price. So these are still signs of a highly abnormal housing market. But let me just hit you with a couple other things that are showing me, or at least suggesting to me that things could start changing. We were at a absolutely absurd days on market number of 15 days on market, but that's actually trended up to 18, which is still less than half than what we would normally see, but again, starting to head in the other direction. We've seen new listings go up 1%, and we've even seen the share of homes that had their had price drops increase from 2.5% to 5%. So I'm not saying things are shifting in this titanic way, but they are, in my mind, from this data, starting to shift in a way that might return us to a more normal housing market. So I'm curious, David, have you seen anything like this, or what's your take on all this information?
I would say that what you're describing correlates very closely to what the experience is like representing clients buying houses. I feel like this is not an abnormal pattern. So as an agent, so I'm sort of in a unique position because I look at real estate from an investment perspective, but I gather my information from an agent's perspective. So I'm not just talking about houses that I'm buying, we're talking about probably somewhere around 30 to 40 people a month that we're helping. My team is closing, and I'm pretty intimately involved with each of those deals. So in order for us to be successful, I have to know what's going on in the market because I'm advising those clients on what I think they should do. What I tend to find is that buyers drive markets. It's the psychology of a buyer that determines if you're in a hot market, if you're in a cold market, and then buyer psychology is affected by things like the news, the eviction moratorium, and we can talk about how they feel the economy is doing, who's going to be president. All these things affect the way that buyers think and feel, which then affects what happens in the market. They tend to operate, buyers do, like a flock of birds. You ever watch a flock of birds and they're all going one direction and then one turns and they all turn at the same time? It's kind of fascinating how they do that. There's very few buyers that make decisions independent of what everybody else is sort of doing. So one of the things when you ask, like, what do I see, is the market will get so hot from everybody looking at houses that they're all in there at the same time. They get discouraged because they all write 6, 7, 8 different offers and they get turned down on every one of them. And a big chunk of those people say, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. So they take themselves out of the game. They say, I'm going to wait, or I'm just burned out. That increases the days on market. The houses sit there a little bit longer, which I'm glad you brought up that metric, because that might be the most important metric that no investors ever look at when they're considering whether they should buy the market or what's happening. So we get this little lull, and then a couple of people get their houses in contract. There's a little bit of hope that goes out, and then the flock of birds comes right back in. It goes up. And I've seen this pattern repeat itself from many different things. So when interest rates went up 2 years ago, maybe 2018 or so, there was a huge, like, man, the rates jumped almost a point, maybe 3/4 of a point, and everybody just stopped buying. They're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it went on for a couple months, and everyone realized, I guess they're not going back down, and everybody came in at the same time. So what I try to tell the people who are looking to buy a home is, if you're going to time the market, that's the timing you're looking for. You're looking for a chink in the armor. You're not looking for the entire thing to crash like what we saw in 2010. A lot of people make the mistake of waiting for something that I don't think is coming right now, which is like a complete collapse in prices just because they see things slowing down.
That's a great point, and I do want to get back.
That was really where I wanted to pause. I'll send the whole video clip. It's really, this podcast, it's the Bigger Pockets podcast, and I've talked about it before in previous meetings, but it's mainly focused on investors, but this episode was all about the state of the market. It was a really fascinating episode. And I like to try and listen to other people's opinions on the state of the market, so that when I am asked by a client, hey, do you think the market's going to dip? I don't personally. I think it's going to plateau a little bit and then continue to go very, very strong. I can base that off of statistics and other maybe more qualified people's opinions, so it doesn't seem so self-serving, or it doesn't seem like I'm just blowing smoke. So I guess my point in that was try and get more information to back up your opinions, and it will help validate your opinions. So let's talk about that really quick, and then we'll wrap up. We've talked about this in previous meetings, but a lot of people don't know about this. When you are in Matrix, you can go to stats right up here. And when you click on stats, you go to InfoSparks, and InfoSparks takes you right here. There are so many cool things you can do with InfoSparks, but I'm not going to spend too much time. I want to show you guys just one thing that is super easy that I think everyone should start implementing with their social media marketing once a month. You can go to Fast Stats. It says area. You can be specific or you can be less specific and go Pierce County. Click on Pierce County. And then you can go even more specific in there, but I'm just going to click on time period. So this is month by month by month, and we can click on September. October hasn't come out yet. It normally takes a few days after the end of the month, and then click view report. And it gives you this awesome professional looking report right here that says listings, pending sales, closed sales, days on market, everything. So again, the point of this, you can share this like as an image or as a PDF on your social media, and it validates your opinions, right? You're not saying, oh, I think the market is actually, it's not dipping as much as you think. You can actually say, no, look it. These are actual statistics from last month. Anyways, this is great marketing material for you to be able to use. And it's also great for you to look at just for your own knowledge, so that you can really back up what you're saying. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to say about that. If you have any questions about using InfoSparks, I know the MLS does classes on it once a month, and you can probably call them and they can send you recordings, and there's so many cool things. You can, if you're meeting a seller for the first time, and they're curious about the average sale price in their area, you can do a zip code, a specific search around the zip code, and hey, here's the average days on market and everything. Like, there's some awesome reports you can pull from here, and it's all free data. So really encourage everyone to look into that. But yeah, that is about